Hello, everybody. Welcome to another edition of your DAMN questions. Today, I'll be answering your questions as usual. Thanks for joining and welcome. I have a few topics today. I have a review of an indie game that I want to talk about, and I also have a few topics I'd like to discuss. But as usual, I'm going to turn some of your questions into topics for my second channel. What a shrewd businessman I am, huh? Man, I'm making barely anything on my second channel, so it's not like I'm doing this for the money. But thank you everybody for joining. Thank you very much. As always, let me know if the music is acting up. I may have to change my streaming software one of these days because this one kind of sucks. It keeps updating and it even goes ape shit when it needs to update. 20 minutes ago I needed to make an update. Send me a message. Hey, we have a new update available. Would you like to update your software? And I said yes. And I got this message saying, waiting for OBS. OBS is the streaming software. Waiting for it to close, to exit. Nothing happened. Beautiful. Beautiful. Anyway, thanks for joining everybody. Let me remind you once again that my books are available on Amazon. Link in the description below. You can find them right there. All of my books. I'm currently in the middle of translating a new one. Well, it's not a new one. It's a book I wrote 8 years ago. I published this book called The Revenant Army 8 years ago. And yeah, I'll probably translate it. Well, it's already translated. I just need to edit the book, to correct some mistakes in there. Some things that were out of context during the translation. Because I want to be loyal, I'm always bitching about translations. I just bitched about the Geofront translation and how they took many liberties. No. I want my own translation to English to be as faithful as it can be to the original in Spanish. So it's gonna take a while, but I promise the book will be ready for this year. So there you go. So let me know, please, if the music is acting up, if it's glitching, if it sounds echoey, doubly, it's glitchy, broken, robotic. Anyway, this one is loud. Is it any good? Yeah, before more people join, I want to make a few tests, as always. Yeah, I have no one to test these these things, with. I have no friends. Hello, everybody. Hello, Fritz. Hello, Frozen Grudge. I'm not playing Diofield Chronicle. It's a Square Enix game. I don't get codes, and I don't buy their games unless they're dirt cheap, second-handed. Thank you, Kiss. Thanks a bunch, man. Hey, Glenn. What's up? I never tried Canada's poutine, so I don't know. Guadalajara's tortas ahogadas. I eat one, I don't know, maybe at least once a month. I wasn't a big fan of them when I was little or when I was younger. I hated them. But I got around that and I started liking them. I'm just gonna wait for more people to join to start my review. It's a game most of you probably won't give a rat's ass about, but it's a good one. It's in the Fire Emblem vein. Oh yeah. Hey David, what's one The most glitchy RPG you ever played? I don't know, probably Monarch. I don't think there's a lot of RPGs that are glitchy right now. I mean, that I've played in my life. I can't think of any, but I can think of a few glitches that I encountered in Monarch. The screen tearing. There was this one glitch in Sakuna. You guys want to see that? I want to show you that one right now because I recorded it. I usually don't record glitches, you know, but I recorded this one from Sakuna of Rise and Ruin. You know Sakuna of Rise and Ruin, right? The 2D action RPG with farming simulation. How do I do this? Okay, let's go here. I gotta add the source here first to the streaming software and then the freaking video. Oh, I don't have it here. I'm gonna have to plug in my hard drive. By the way, before you ask, you know, if you move to another place, where are you right now? Why isn't your collection next to you or in the back? It's right here. I moved it. I'm still in the same place. I won't be moving anytime soon, unfortunately. I was going to move, but it went to shit. Oh man, this is... Damn these cables, man. Okay, there we go. Let me just look for it, you know. It's really funny. I think I remember I was playing the game and I exited one place and it started glitching like this, you know. You'll see in a bit. Nice, it was pretty bad. There we go, here it is. Let's check it out. There we go. This is what happened to me. I just exited the place, I think an area, I fought a boss and exited and then this happened. Or something like that, you know, I don't remember. But look at this! It's not even in 2D, it's in full 3D. Check it out. Can you believe this? I mean, yeah, this happened to me. I mean, this is not exactly a AAA game. I mean, it was partially an indie game. So I get it, you know, they didn't have enough time. I can still open up the menu, as you can see. Yeah, I was like, man, I need to get the hell out of here. I was like, how do I get the hell out of here? And then I have to reload the freaking file. I didn't fight a boss, I was just exiting an area. So I had to restart, you know, there we go. And there, back to normal. That was funny as hell. I'm glad I recorded that, you know, it was just dumb. There we go. That's a great game, by the way, you know, it's a really, really good game. No masterpiece, you know, but it's really, really good. There you go. I'm not gonna get Dio Field until it's dirt cheap. Okay. I can unplug these now? Yeah, I can unplug these now. So, yeah, before you ask me, you know, where are you? You know, it's right here. My collection is right here. I just, you know, might as well do this. There's better light. Yeah. I just wanted to show the poster of Terra Gaiden up there, you know. Because I want to talk about it in a bit. Let's just wait for more people to join. There we go. Thank you, Radioactive Cosmic Rays. When's the big tier list video of most JRPG publishers developers? Well, I don't know if you noticed, but I did a couple. I uploaded a top 10 a couple of days ago called Underrated JRPG Developers. So I might have to wait a little bit more for that tier list. You know, I really want to do that tier list. There's a lot of developers most people don't know about. Well, let's just say that this top 10 that I uploaded 2 days ago was to test the waters, to see if there's enough interest from people, because this is going to be a massive tier list, and it's going to be a lot of work into it. So, I don't know, I need this massive tier list to be, well, somewhat successful, right? In order for me to make it. So I made these top 10 first because there's gonna be a lot of underrated and obscure JRPG developers in that tier list. It's not gonna be about publishers. It's gonna be about developers only. Not publishers. I mean, publishers are gonna be there because a lot of publishers also develop games, right? The majority of them. Square Enix, Atlus, Falcom, NIS, etc. But yeah. So the video didn't do bad from 2 days ago, but it didn't do great either. So I want to see, if there's enough interest from people to make doing the tier list worth it. Is Valkyria Chronicles 4 better than Fire Emblem games? Well, I don't think one is better than the other. I think they're very, very different, really hard to compare to. I personally like Fire Emblem a little bit more, especially the old ones, because in my opinion, any Valkyria Chronicles game surpasses most of the newer Fire Emblem games, But yeah, I'm a Fire Emblem fanboy, man. So obviously my answer is gonna be Fire Emblem is better, But Valkyria Chronicles is such a special series to me. I'm dying, to get Valkyria Chronicles 5 if it's ever going to be published or developed even. Love the interview. Yeah, that was an interesting interview. I was blushing a lot, yeah. I was not only blushing, it was nighttime and I had I was right here, and my light, it's one of those white lights, but I also had the curtain open. So both lights combined and made me look like really red for some reason. Yeah, I watched the video on my TV and at my parents' house, and my parents were like, "What happened to you?" Well, I have a skin condition, I don't know if you can see it right now. Like Joe from GameSack. I think it's some kind of dermatitis, These we get these red areas like rushes. They aren't rushes, but so you can get an idea. So that's what happened to me, I was nervous, it happens because of stress and because I get nervous. So I was really freaking nervous during that interview. But my red rush, got bigger and more notorious during that interview because of the light and because of the nighttime combining, with all of that. So, I've interviewed developers before, but only on written text, By the way, I also interviewed the creator of Wild Arms, Akifumi Kaneko, but he never shows his face in public. I asked the guy, the PR guy, "Hey, can I interview these guys, in person?" And he said yes. And Matsudo Mashida, he can do the interview live, but Kaneko-san, he can't do it because he never shows his face in public. And if you look right now in Google, you're not gonna find this guy's face. I mean, just go into Google right now and type Akifumi Kaneko, the creator of Wild Arms, you're not gonna find his face. And if you find, it's probably another guy with the same name, not the developer of Wild Arms and Armed Fantasia. He never shows his face in public, and I was like, okay. So it didn't occur to me that maybe I could do the interview live without him showing his face. You know what I mean? Just the audio. Like we could have done the same interview maybe with in Zoom. We did the Machida interview in Zoom with a translator and shit, and he didn't have to show his face, But it didn't occur to me. I was like, okay, so I'm gonna just write my questions and I'll send them to you. And the PR person said, oh sure, yeah. Maruyama-san from the Kickstarter PR, public relations. So he got me into these interviews, and I asked the 12 questions, I think, to Akifumi Kaneko, and I posted those questions. I was gonna turn this interview into a video, where I was like, man, no, it's just the reality is a lot of people don't really care about interviews. They care about the games and about the opinions on the games, but they don't really care about how the games are done or the background of the games, the development. They don't really give a shit. So my interview with Matsudo Machida wasn't that successful, so I was like, man, I'm not gonna turn this interview into a video, so I just posted the interview on my community section. So if you go right now to my community section on my channel right now, you can read the interview with Akifumi Kaneko, the creator of Wild Arms. I asked a lot of questions about Wild Arms. I asked a lot of questions about Armed Fantasia. In fact, let's do this. Let's let me read you some of the most interesting questions of this interview. Let me know if the music is acting up. I don't think it is. Anyway, so just gonna go right now to my community section and read you guys an interview with the creator of Wild Arms. Here is. So I asked him a few. Well, so this is my interview with Akifumi Kaneko. I asked him a few questions about Wild Arms and Arm Fantasia, and I want to read the whole interview for you guys, because I really wanted to make a video about this interview, but since there wasn't a lot of interest on my main channel, I'm just gonna have to do this on my second channel. I mean, right now on this Q&A, and then upload it to my second channel in a couple of weeks or so. So the first question that I asked Akifumi Kaneko is, this interview, like I said before, is written. Akifumi Kaneko, the creator of Wild Arms, never shows his face in public for, I don't know. I was going to ask the PR person, why, but I was like, man, maybe they don't want to tell people why. I mean, he must have his reasons. Maybe he's too shy, or I don't know. But this guy doesn't show his face in public, so the interview was written. So in case you missed it, on the community section of my main channel, here we go. So what made you start a Kickstarter for an Arm Fantasia? And check out what he answered. He said, the reality of it is that right now, if you were to propose a turn-based RPG to a Japanese publisher, they probably wouldn't agree to help you make it. Go to hell, Square Enix, this is all your fault. Because a lot of companies are still making turn-based RPG. I mean, even Enix. Dragon Quest XI was turn-based, right? I mean, Falcom's making turn-based RPGs. Atlus is making turn-based RPGs. A lot of companies are still doing them. But apparently Kaneko-san doesn't believe in the modern gaming industry for turn-based RPGs. So he also said, I've been in the gaming industry for a long time, so I understand things from a publisher's perspective as well. But despite that, I believe that there are a lot of fans out there who want me to make a turn-based RPG. You're goddamn right, Kaneko-san. And that's why he decided to go to Kickstarter, because he felt he didn't have support from publishers. You should have gone to Atlus, man. Anyway, second question. What made you work with Machida-san for the Kickstarter? So Machida-san, in case, for those who don't know, that's the creator of Shadow Hearts, that I also interviewed in my main channel in person. It wasn't a written interview like this one. In person, in Zoom, face to face. And if you don't know, the two guys decided to create a double Kickstarter, to develop both games, the spiritual successor to Shadow Hearts and to Wild Arms. Alright, so his answer was, we've known each other for a while. But the big reason we joined up was because we both wanted to take the type of JRPGs we used to make and give them a modern update. The double Kickstarter was born through a random discussion I had with Machida-san. So they were just talking and they were like, oh, let's just do this, There's no way Sony, is going to publish our game, so yeah, let's do that. He probably said something like that. Anyway, so yeah, let's keep going. The third question. I said it looks like Arm Fantasia will be a turn-based RPG. Thank you for that. What made you decide to keep the combat turn-based? He said, thank you as well. I love turn-based battles myself. I love them because they're calm, strategic, and almost like puzzles that you have to solve. Arm Fantasia's battles, especially boss battles, will have plenty of new experiences for everyone to enjoy. I hope you're looking forward to it. Eventually, if I were to make another JRPG, one that's not a Wild Arms spiritual successor, I'd like the battles to have tons of action elements in them. Okay, so he's interested in making action RPGs as well. Good. As long as they aren't Wild Arms. Question number 4. Are there any JRPGs that inspired you to create Arm Fantasia and Wild Arms? And he said, of course. But he didn't specify which JRPGs. He just said yes. Developing JRPGs is fun, but playing them is also fun. I played a lot of the classics when I was a kid. However, lately I haven't been able to play many games. I've been too busy working on anime and developing games to do so. But also, there haven't been very many JRPGs released in the Japanese market as of late either. And I put in parentheses right below, Kaneko is probably not up to date with modern releases, it seems. There haven't been many JRPGs released in the Japanese market as of late. There's like 10 times way more than in the 90s. Yeah, he's probably not up to date with modern releases. Anyway, when you made Wild Arms, next question. When you made Wild Arms, were you working for Mediavision or directly for Sony? I feel like a lot of people don't know that Mediavision is the developer of Wild Arms, Chaos Rings, some of the Valkyria Chronicles games, Shining Resonance Refrain, and lots of others. I really considered including Mediavision in my underrated JRPG developers video, but I didn't. So anyway, he said, at the time I worked for Mediavision. He's no longer working for Mediavision. He quit a long time ago. We'll get to that in a bit. He also said, however, the game was based on a plan that I made for the company I worked for before I worked at Mediavision. He didn't mention the company's name. I had originally envisioned the game being on the Super Famicom. I don't know if you guys have played. Thank you, Super Mardon 23. Thanks a bunch, man. I don't know if you guys know this, but I don't know if you guys have played the original Wild Arms, but it just doesn't look like a PlayStation game. I mean, it kind of does look like that, but it also looks... I mean, there's a lot of 2D elements in there. I mean, when he answered that, I was like, oh, so that's the reason why the first Wild Arms, looks a little bit more like a Super Famicom game than a PlayStation game. So that's the reason. It was a game originally... Man, that's a great answer, I didn't know that. And next question, how much did Sony have to do with the creation of Wild Arms? Did you have full creative control? And you guys are gonna love this answer. He said, I don't remember them having a lot of demands as far as the original Wild Arms go, though I may have simply ignored any demands they had at the time. I love this guy. We were a small team of about 10 people and we worked on it for about 3 years. They let us make it very slowly. Thinking of it that way, they actually had a decent amount of influence on how the game turned out. Alright. Next question. Out of all the Wild Arms games you worked on, which one is your favorite? I also asked this question to the Shadow Hearts creator. Which one is your favorite Shadow Hearts? And his answer is really unexpected. Check this out. He said, they're all different, so I can't really put them in order. I love them all, and the fans of each game are very important to me. This has nothing to do with which ones I like, but Wild Arms 4 and Wild Arms Crossfire on the PSP were actually what got me into working in the anime industry. I gained a lot of skills for that sort of job in developing those two titles, so those two are special to me in that way. Interesting because those two are among the worst Wild Arms games. I mean, Wild Arms 4 is still a very good game in my opinion, but it's one of the least better games in the series, and Crossfire is a broken game, but these are the games he chose for this answer. These are the Wild Arms games that are the most special to him. That's really interesting. Why did the battle system change so much in Wild Arms 4? So he said, because we took an idea from one of the staff members. During the development of Wild Arms 4, there were many reasons that forced us to change various systems in the game. But the battle system was something that we worked hard to keep as we originally envisioned it. Personally, I like that battle system a lot. And to be honest, I love that battle system too. But one random staff member proposed that battle system and it changed. A lot of people back then, in the early 2000s, didn't like this change, but I loved it. So in Wikipedia, you can barely find any information of this guy because Akifumi Kaneko was always kind of the director or writer of the Wild Arms series, but in Wild Arms 5 he was barely there. So I asked him, what was your role in Wild Arms 5? Wild Arms 5 is my favorite in the series. He said, I didn't participate in Wild Arms 5 as a game designer or main director or anything, but I was one of the producers behind the project. Because of that, just like during the development of Wild Arms 4, I was able to stop some of my original ideas about the game from getting changed. Awesome. I was able to protect the project. Also, I'd like to add that while I wasn't the main writer on the story, I was in charge of part of the scenario for the game. So it's not like I didn't participate in the development of Wild Arms 5 at all. And then I asked him, what did you think about the game? He said, I love Wild Arms 4, especially how high quality the character models were. They are. For a PlayStation 2 game, they are. The battle system was great too, as we were able to reflect on the one from Wild Arms 4 while keeping things consistent within the series. But the biggest thing I'm proud of is that we were able to bring back the world map, something we had to keep out of Wild Arms 4. He's right, there's no world map. I mean, there is a world map in Wild Arms 4, but it's menu based. You can just move your character from one location to the other. And in Wild Arms 5, there's an overworld with an amazing world map theme, by the way. Next question. Besides the Symphogear series, the Symphogear series is an anime series he worked on. What else have you worked on since you left the Wild Arms team? Mediavision. He said, I developed a multiplayer versus action game on the PSP. He didn't mention the name of the game. I don't just develop JRPGs, but also action games as well. This was way before Wild Arms. But I also made an action game called with Satoshi Tajiri and Ken Sugimori. If you don't know who those guys are, they are pretty much the directors, the guys from Pokemon, the guys from Game Freak. It never wound up being released, but it seems like a sample ROM of it somehow wound up on the internet. I hate the fact that he didn't mention the names of the games. Next question. What are your thoughts on the direction Wild Arms took after you left Mediavision? Pretty much I wanted to ask him about Wild Arms A Million Memories, the mobile gacha free-to-play game that was shut down a few years, I think it was shut down this year or last year. It was a failure. And he said, for Million Memories, someone else ordered the BGM instead of me. I don't know why he's talking about the music. He may have misunderstood my question. When I heard the finished songs, it was very interesting to hear what someone else had imagined when thinking of the wilderness as the setting for a game. It made me realize a few things that I hadn't thought about before. Yeah, I don't know why he decided to answer a question about the music. Whatever, it's probably a mistranslation. There's some kind of misunderstanding in there. But anyway, he also said the things that I thought about and realized from that period have actually come out during the process of making the songs from ARM Fantasia. So it was a very meaningful time. Okay, now he kept going. As far as things I'm not fond of from that time, I was only able to supervise what was going on for about 2 hours, once every 2 weeks. So I spent a lot of time outside of work on holidays or late at night at restaurants secretly creating the story. So he secretly created the story for A Million Memories? Anyway, I wouldn't care if they lowered my pay as low as it will go. I just wanted to be involved in the development a lot more. When I was invited to the place they were making the game, I had already had most of the project and the game systems figured out in my head. I wish that I wasn't just a supervisor, but rather that I got to use my own hands to help develop that game. So probably if he had worked directly on Million Memories, it probably would have turned out to be maybe a normal, regular turn-based RPG. But instead it ended up being an action gacha game, free-to-play with microtransactions. And that's why the game failed miserably. That's the end of the interview. And that's it. That's the whole interview, guys. So, hope you enjoyed it. If you want to read it again, or if you missed a lot of questions, I'll probably upload the whole interview that I recorded right now, in a couple of weeks, maybe in just 1 week. Or you can find the whole written interview in my community section on my main channel, Ericland RPG. There you go. Alright guys, back to your questions. Hope the music is alright. I'm gonna try something out. You're gonna have to tell me if it's working or not, as usual. I'm always making experiments. Thank you, CB Ross. So can you guys hear the music right now? Can you hear it? I can. You can't hear it. All right. All right. Give me 1 second. Okay, how about now? And is it good or is it acting up? Is it glitching? Hopefully it will stay that way from now on. If it starts acting up, let me know. Thanks, guys. That song is from Atelier, Eska, and Logi. I also wanted to include Ghost in my top 10 underrated JRPG developers, but I didn't because I feel the company is kind of famous. But it is at the same time because there's just not a lot of interesting Ghost in Atelier. Yeah, I guess it's still a very niche franchise outside of Japan, even though the Risa games have sold considerably. Or it may just be that I don't have a lot of Atelier fans or Ghost fans in general. I mean, the majority of their games are, more on the girly side, and they have a lot of fan service. Not exactly dark and deep, complex stories or battle mechanics or whatever. But anyway, yeah, I guess they aren't for everybody. What's the difference between Tales of games and Star Ocean? Okay, so the Tales games are more on the button mashing hack and slash side, whereas the Star Ocean games are a little bit more on the technical side. That's an interesting question, But yeah, I mean, that's the only difference between them, because after all, the same guy created both series. Yoshiharu Gotanda, the director of Tri-Ace, whatever, But yeah, I mean, they aren't too different. The main difference is that the Star Ocean series are, the Star Ocean games are a little bit more technical. You can't just button mash your way out of battles, And they can be chaotic, but they aren't that fast paced, They are a little bit more analytical. But that's about it. They're both action RPGs that you go around, walk around the overworld or the dungeon or the areas. You touch an enemy, you get into a battle, and that's it, Yeah. What are you currently playing? I'm playing, speaking about Mediavision, I'm playing Shining Resonance Refrain. I went back to it I never got the game. I just borrowed the game a long time ago, and that's why I barely covered that game. Shining Resonance Refrain. And I saw it for $6 on the PlayStation Store, the full game, and I was like, sure, and I bought it because it's been a game. It's a game that I've been trying to buy physical for the past 5 years, and it never goes down in price. At least not here in Mexico. If you guys see it for cheap in your country, good for you. Pick it up. It's good. But I always see it for like $30-something, and $30-something isn't that expensive. But I know it's a game that it's not that great, and I was like, man, I'm not gonna pay $30-something. I was like, if I see it for $20, I'll get it. $20 is my safe price. I don't know about you guys, but $20 is the most I'm willing to pay for a game that I don't know a lot about, or that I know it has mixed reviews or bad reviews, $20 is the most I'm willing to pay for a game that it's like that I'm not too sure about, I've paid 30 and 40 for other games, that are like, hey, man, I know for a fact I'm gonna like this game. This totally looks like my kind of jam, or I heard great things about this game, or I've seen gameplay footage and trailers and whatnot, and I really want to play it, and there we go. But $20 is like my max. I'm not gonna pay more than $20 US dollars for a game that I'm not too sure about. So it never went down for that price, Shining Resonance Refrain. So I saw it for $6 digital. Yeah, I don't really like buying digital games, but $6, and I need it for my job. It's another game it's a game that I barely covered in this channel. So maybe if I like it, I'm 20 hours into it. Maybe if I like it, I'm gonna start talking about it more often. So there we go. That's what I'm currently playing. And before that game, I was playing another game that I want to review right now, because this is an indie game, strategy RPG. It's not really worth doing a review for my main channel. So all of these games are getting reviewed in these Q&A sessions for this channel. All right, so the game. Let me just add the image first, so you guys know which game, the name of the game, and what to look for. I got this game for $2, $1.99. This was like 2 weeks ago. I don't know if if it's still for that price in the US North American store. There we go. This is called Rise Eterna. Damn. Let me fix that. Alright, there we go. So this is Rise Eterna, okay? So this is a grid-based strategy RPG, and it's an indie game developed by a company called Maki. You know, like Makkee, Maki. This is a studio that's comprised by people from Poland, France, and Japan, I think. So it's a worldwide RPG, but it's mostly a European RPG, but it seems inspired by Fire Emblem. However, even though it kind of looks like Fire Emblem, it's very different, you know. I found it very different. I'll be comparing this game to Fire Emblem just to prove to you that it's not really like Fire Emblem. I mean, I see the inspiration, but it's not really like that. So this is a game that takes place in the medieval setting, you know, and the main character is Lua. That's the girl you're seeing right now on the picture. And her name is Lua, and she lives in a peaceful village. So the other main character is this guy, and he's a bandit, but he doesn't raid the villages. He just takes care of the camp, while his friends, the bandits, the evil guys, you know, go and raid the villages. So Lua's village gets raided, and then he doesn't go. But time passes, and he's like, "What's going on? They haven't come back. They haven't returned." So he goes to look for them, and he finds out to the village, and he finds out that Lua pretty much killed the majority of them by herself. And he's like, whoa, what the hell? Who is this girl? And obviously she's pissed off as hell, you know, and she tries to take it out on the guy, you know, but they worked it out. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but let's just say they joined together forces, and he decides to help her go to the big city, to the capital, because this is a universe where there's an oppressive empire, an evil empire took over the world, and people are sick of that, so Lua is starting to consider some kind of revolution, you know, to take down the empire. And this guy, this ex-bandit, decides to join forces with her and help her, you know, reach the city. And then once she's in the city, she finds out she has special powers, special abilities. She's kind of like a thief type of character, you know, she fights with 2 short swords. And she's kind of weak at the beginning, but near the end of the game, she's completely broken, and she can take the entire map on her own. We'll get to that in a bit. But that's the whole story, you know. She needs to find her sisters, who are also, you know, very powerful, you know, to build a small army to take on the Empire. So it's pretty interesting, you know. It's a pretty interesting topic. It's kind of cliche, yes it is, but how the dialogues are carried out, it's pretty interesting, you know. There's a lot of edginess in there, a lot of tragedy. The music in this game is kind of like, it's good. It's not that great, you know, but it's good. And the world, there's like 3 world map themes, and they get more depressing as you advance the story. And it's not like the game is that tragic. There's some tragedies in there, you know, but some darkness in there. But it's not like, I mean, the music is kind of like exaggerated a little bit, but it's good. All right, so the gameplay. This is, like I said before, a strategy RPG. But it's very top-down view. If you go to Google right now, you'll see some images, you know. This review, I'm going to upload it with gameplay footage probably next week on my second channel. In case you're more interested in this game, you want to see some gameplay footage while I review it, you know, you're going to have to wait for a bit. But, well, it's very top-down view, like from really high up, the camera. So it looks really small, it looks a little bit like a phone game, it screams low budget, but this is not a phone game. I'm not sure if it's available for mobile phones, but it's on PS4, Switch, and Steam. And I'm not sure if it's on the Xbox One, you know, but maybe it is, I don't know. But the point is that, you do move on grids, and when you touch an enemy, you know, when you enter battle, it goes into this 2D view like in Fire Emblem. But however, in Fire Emblem, the majority of the enemies or your characters counter-attack, right? When it's a melee attack. If you attack from afar with a bow or with magic, you don't get counter-attacked, right? But in Fire Emblem, you know, and you attack an enemy up front and the enemy counters. Not in this game. This is not like in Fire Emblem. You just attack and that's it. And if other characters are, around the character you chose to perform that attack, they increase your stats. They don't fight beside you, they don't attack the enemy. They just stand there in the anime, in the 2D animation. They just stand there and your character, attacks the enemy. But the character has more, defense or more attack power or more agility. And agility is a must. That's a stat you need to increase in this game because the RNG is fucked up. It's one of my biggest gripes with this game, with this indie game. The RNG was like a lot of times I had like 80-something% of hit, and the characters were missing, a lot. And I was like, man. But anyway, this is a game where you do not level up. You don't gain experience. Instead, you get skill points. But it doesn't matter what you do in battle. Even if you use only one character to kill everybody and the rest are just there, every single character is going to get one skill point after every mission. And that's a skill point you use to unlock abilities or unlock stats like defense plus 5 or HP plus 5, attack plus 5 or agility. Or, this other spell, this magic, or you increase the power of this attack spell. So, while you don't level up, the experience points are transformed into these skill points. But it's funny that, it just doesn't matter who fights who. Like I said, you can just use one or two characters to kill everybody in the field. And the other 3 characters, the other 4 characters, because this is a game where you can only have 6 characters. Unlike in Fire Emblem, where you can have like 10, 12, 15 per every map. In here, you have a limited amount of characters, like 6 is the maximum amount of characters you can have during every map. And like I said, you can just do nothing and we use one character to kill everybody, and everybody's still going to get one skill point after battle. So, I don't know about that. At the beginning, it bothered me a bit, but I got used to that. I was like, okay, so these guys are trying to do something different, get rid of the random status increases of the leveling up system, we see often in Fire Emblem. Because come on, if you guys have played any Fire Emblem games, you probably already know that sometimes you level up and you only increase one stat. So it's an RNG for the experience system, and it's messed up in Fire Emblem. I still love it though, but it's fucked up. So they got rid of that. And there's also some alchemy stuff in here, not like in Atelier, but there's a lot of items in the map, in treasure chests, or just laying there, that you can gather to create potions, or buffs, or debuffs, or healing items, because in this game there are no shops, there's no stores, you can't buy anything, so your only way to create items in this game is to craft them with these materials. And there's also a gem system, and that also makes up for the lack of leveling up system. In here, you can sometimes find these gems in the map, particularly on treasure chests. So you want to have a lot of chest keys and door keys. I mean, the majority of the enemies have like door keys or chest keys, so it's okay. And half of the chests in these maps are unlocked, so you don't worry about that. It's not like you're gonna suffer from a lack of chest keys, and you can also craft them. You can craft these chest keys. So, you create these gems that also increase your character's stats, plus attack plus 5, defense plus 5, plus 15, attack increase 20%, things like that. So that's the way these developers thought of for replacing the experience system. You don't level up, but you get all this cool stuff. And overall, it's an amazing game. It's not an easy game. It was easy for me because I have a shit ton of experience in strategy RPGs. I mean, this is my genre. It's my favorite genre of video games. But I'm still going to recommend this game for beginners. It's a great game. It's a great entry for beginners into strategy RPGs, and it's dirt cheap. It's usually on sale. I got it for $2, like I said, digital. I don't know if there's a physical version. Well, my point is that I don't think it's that challenging, but it's not that easy. So if you're a beginner, but you don't want the game to be extremely easy, don't worry, you can still start with this game. It's fairly challenging. There's no permadeath. That's right, your characters don't die permanently. If they die, you can use them in the next mission. So it's okay, no permadeath. There are some secret characters, secret powerful characters that you can get. You need a guide for that because They are locked in specific maps that you have to replay again. But it's kind of fun, you know, because the game is very addictive. If you like grid-based strategy RPGs, Fire Emblem, Shining Force, then you're gonna love this game, you know. It's an amazing game, and the art style is beautiful, you know, while the graphics, the in-game graphics look really low budget, like 8-bit style of graphics. You know, the art style, the character design, when they pop up and talk during the conversations, you know, they look beautiful. I really like the character design. So my praises go to the whoever designed this game, these game's characters. My one and only complaint with this game is that it's too damn short. Unfortunately, it's too damn short. I beat the game in 8.5 hours. There's no difficulty settings. You can't choose, I think. I don't remember if you can choose an easy mode or a hard mode. I don't think so. I think you're just stuck with the game's random difficulty and standard difficulty, normal difficulty, I guess. But the game just ends. 8.5 hours. I was like, oh, okay, so let's keep going, and it just ends. I got the credits. I was like, oh, so that was the final boss? Okay. I got the credits and the end. 8.5 hours. So this game came out in 2019, I think. So it's either one of two. One, the developers may be planning a sequel, a direct sequel to continue because the story didn't end. You didn't. I don't want to spoil. I'm not gonna spoil anything, but just play the game, and when you beat it, you're gonna be like, what? It just ended. You know, it just ends after a mission. They have a conversation. They have this really small scene, you know, posing as the ending, and that's it. So either the developers are planning a sequel, or for some reason they decided to leave it at that. I hope it's the first one. I hope they are planning a sequel, because the game just can't end like that. It's like, man, it sucks, man. That ending sucks. Don't leave us like that. But if it's part 1 of a series, and if there's gonna be a sequel, a continuation, a part 2, then okay, I'll get it. But still, it's a very short game. You can beat this game in less than 10 hours. It's an indie game. Usually indie RPGs are like this. They're very short. Come on, there's not a lot of money to make 40, 50 hour long games. It's an indie game, keep that in mind. But I do strongly recommend it, especially for Fire Emblem fans. I love this game. Great game. I wish it could have been longer. And that's it. Back to your goddamn questions. Yeah, I've spoken a lot. I read the whole interview and now this review. Link to my second channel, you can find it in the description of this video. You'll find it there. Thank you, IB. Is Suikoden Tactics any good? Also, what upcoming remainder of 2022 and 23 RPGs are you most looking forward to? Suikoden Tactics is pretty good. It's not one of the best in the series, but it's a good spin-off. It's a very interesting strategy RPG because it plays a lot with the elements, and you can manipulate these elements. You know, the elements are positioned on grids, and you can just move them, I think, something like that. I played this game a long time ago. It was the very first Suikoden game I ever played, like 15 years ago. And I think you can move them around, and if an enemy weak to that element is standing there, you can do a lot of damage. So it's a pretty interesting game. It's no masterpiece. It's not, wow, it's an amazing strategy RPG. It blew me away. Nah. But it's good. It's decent. It is recommended. And what upcoming JRPGs are looking forward to this year? I think the only one that I'm looking forward to is Star Ocean 6. That's it. All the others, either I don't really care for, or... I mean, there's Persona 5 coming to the Xbox. I don't give a shit. I'm looking forward to the remasters of Persona 3 and 4 next year. But this year, probably only the Divine Force, Star Ocean 6. That's the only one. And I'm not gonna get it because it's Square Enix game, right? So, you know, everybody's gonna make reviews about that game, and I'm not. Because, you know, Square Enix, you know, yeah, it's proven. Don't worry, I'm not gonna make any fucking dramas about this, but the same thing that happened to me with Atlus last year has happened to me with Square Enix a couple of times. Like, I know for a fact, I asked them for a review copy of the DioField Chronicle, and I got ignored. And everybody else got them. They reached out through the same emails and the same websites, the same Twitter guy, and they got the review code, even the small YouTubers. I didn't. So yeah, these guys, yeah, probably know who I am, and they probably know that I've talked a lot of shit about them, about the company Square Enix. So yeah, I think they hate me. But that's okay. I mean, Square Enix is a company that I criticized since the beginning of my career. I don't like Square Enix as a publisher. I just, as a developer, I mean, as a publisher, they're fine. But as a developer, I just don't like them anymore. They lost my respect a long time ago. But I was like, man, I want to support Lancarce. Lancarce is the company who developed the DioField Chronicle. And I want to support it. I want to support this company. Because I'm a big fan of Lancarce. But unfortunately, it was published by Square Enix, so there's nothing I can do about that. Sorry, Lancarce, I wanted to make a review. But I still ended up, I sneaked the DioField Chronicle in my last top 10, so maybe that'll help them out a bit. And if it helps them right now that I have 100 people watching, buy the game, it's good. Get it. The DioField Chronicle has my... this is stupid. My seal of quality approval or whatever. Yeah, I recommend it. But my recommendation is based on the demo. And the demo is like 2.5 hours long. And that's it. So, I love the demo. Yeah! This guy says Eric is in Square Enix's blacklist. Confirmed. Yeah, I mean... The same YouTubers that I know, reached out in the same ways, and they got the code and I didn't, and the guy from Twitter, I'm not gonna say the name, the guy from Twitter straight up ignored me. So, yeah, it's confirmed. Yeah, we can safely say it's confirmed. I'm blacklisted. But I don't care, because, I deserve it. I mean, I've insulted Square Enix, insulted. It's not like when I talk about Atlus or Bandai Namco and I criticize some of their decisions. I've insulted Square Enix, so they have every right to block me and blacklist me. Whatever. Anyway, so... Did you get Astria Ascending? No, I didn't. I'm still... I think I looked last night for it. Astria Ascending is another game I'm not entirely sure of. Just like Shining Resonance Refrain. I was like, man, I think right now the PS5 version is dirt cheap. I think it's like $25. But I don't have a PS5. How ironic, right? The PS5 version is the cheapest of them all. The Switch version is the most expensive. So I'm trying to hunt down the PS4 version or the Switch version. But they're like $30-something right now. Like $32. And I'm like, no. So I want to wait until it's... I'm willing to pay $25 for it because I'm not sure if I'm gonna like it. I've seen gameplay footage, reviews, and shit, and I'm like, it totally looks like a game that I'm going to enjoy, but I can't risk it. I've risked it many times before in the past. I don't want to insult. Where is it? Oh, well, it's somewhere around there, Crosscode. That's a game that I broke my rule with that game. I was like, everybody was talking marvels about that game, Crosscode, and I saw the physical version for like $26 one day, and I was like, man, I'll get it, and I got it, and the game disappointed me. Sure, it's a great action RPG, but it's just overloaded with so many puzzles. The majority of the puzzles aren't that hard. I mean, the difficulty of the puzzles isn't what bothers me, The puzzles could be easy as fuck, and I will still be disappointed because I want to play an RPG, not a puzzle game, right? And this game is both. So it's a great combination of puzzles and RPG, but, it's just not my type of game. And it disappointed me, and I broke my own rule for that. So I don't want to break my own rule anymore. I've gotten disappointed like that in the past. I ended up paying $20, $30, $40 for games that, I'm like, I should have waited for this game to go down in price a little bit more. So that's what I'm going to do with Astria Ascending. I really want to play it. No, I don't play on PC. I'm a collector. I want to own the freaking game. Yes, I am more of a Squaresoft guy. I love Squaresoft. Did you get a physical copy of Trails from Zero? No, I got a review code from NIS America, the developers. But it's digital. Companies never send me physical stuff because I live in Mexico. So it's very expensive for them to send me physical media. You know, I remember the guys from Metal Max Xeno, the remake that I didn't like. They wanted to send me a special edition, but they are located in England, and I was like, man, so sure, I'll get it. You know, send me the special edition. But I live in Mexico, and the guy was like, yeah, I'll see what I can do. Of course, they only sent me the code, the digital code, but that's okay, man. I mean, I understand. I live in Mexico. It's gonna be expensive as hell to send me something, and I'm not the biggest, most popular reviewer out there. If I was gonna get, I don't know, hundreds of thousands of views per every review, I'm pretty sure these companies will send me physical stuff no matter where I was. But it's okay, you know. Did you hit the side of your nose? No, it's a skin problem. You mean here, right? Yeah, it's a skin problem, man. I get this dermatitis. Yeah, looks like that. Have you played Valkyrie Elysium? No, I haven't, and I haven't even played a demo, and I probably won't bother with the game at all. I don't give a rat's ass about Valkyrie Elysium. Have you watched Elizabeth Venom Claw? Who fucking... I don't know who that is. There was another question there about Persona. Oh, here we go. What are your thoughts on the rumored remake of Persona 3? There's no remake, you know. There's a remaster. It's already been confirmed, and it's going to be released next year. They're not gonna do a remake. The renewed copyrights of Xenosaga series and Baten Kaito series. Oh, they just renewed the copyrights, you know, so people can't use them for free. I don't know. That means nothing, you know. We've seen companies renewing copyright stuff for this or that game and nothing happens. Anyway. I don't know who Elizabeth Venom Claw is. But sounds like somebody, one of the many small YouTubers who talk shit about me. What do you say? Play Trails from Zero official and the Aruse and the Asher via Geofront, or wait for the official release to play both? I think you should wait for the official release. You know, the Trails from Zero, I played it and I finished it, and I think it's a fantastic localization. So I suggest you wait. What do you think about Steam filters when banning visual novels with school setting? I don't even play Steam, man. So, yeah. Well, I don't like banning. I don't like censorship of any kind. So, fuck those guys. The people who are doing that. Those filters, fuck those filters. Do you think Square Enix cares for Star Ocean? Obviously, they're about to release a game in the series. What kind of question is that? Switch or PS4 for JRPGs? PS4 for me. I haven't played Atelier Rorona Plus. I only played the original on the PS3, so I can't help you there. Have any Western RPGs caught your attention, your interest? Not really, not lately, no. Some indie games maybe, but Western AAA games, no. Not really. Have you Platinum Trophy any JRPG on the PS4? I don't give a rat's ass about trophies, so no. What is your best Triple S member? Oh, the special support section. Well, there's only 4. I don't know, they all have their strengths and weaknesses. I think it's a pretty balanced party. There isn't a single character in the Crossbell duology that sucks. They're all pretty good. You know, I don't really have a personal favorite. Maybe Randy, because his special attacks do massive damage. So there. Which part did you get stuck in Final Fantasy IV? I don't remember. It was a long time ago. I think it was with a boss. No, it wasn't a boss fight, no. I don't remember. That was a long time ago. What do you want from the next Persona 6? Not... Just don't turn into a political bullshit game, please. Everything nowadays is going that way, in that direction. You know? Don't make my games woke, please. come on. I mean, Japan has always been awesome. The majority of the developers have always been kind of liberal already. They don't need to overdo it like they're doing it nowadays. So just leave that political bullshit aside, Atlus, please. And just keep it turn-based. No action, please. Hey, Matthew. Thanks for the donation, man. Really appreciate it. And welcome. Any suggestion for a game similar to Nier Automata? Well, they aren't that similar, but in terms of combat, you might try the latest Ys games. Ys 8, Ys 9. They have fast-paced hack-and-slash combat, so they might be right up your alley. Or you can try the predecessor, of those games, Drakengard 3. It suffers from some camera and frame rate issues, but it's still a good game, worth playing, Drakengard 3. And you have party members. They're kind of useless. But, you have your party members, like in Nier and Nier Automata. Have you ever played The Skies of Arcadia? Yes, I have on the GameCube and the Dreamcast. I never finished either version, though. That's a game I would like to come back to one day. That's a game that I want remastered, I remember quitting on the GameCube version a long time ago, probably around 12 years ago, because I got stuck. When you get your ship and you start, moving around, I got lost, really lost, and I was getting a lot of random encounters, and it pissed me off, I got rid of it like an idiot. I know the game goes for like $200 nowadays, and fuck. I wasn't really a collector back then. What's the next JRPG on your radar? I have a lot of them, I want to get my hands on Astria Ascending. I still haven't got my hands on the Nier Replicant remaster. I'm trying to hunt down a lot of games, A lot of them I already have them on my PlayStation 4 digital or on the Switch, but I want the physical versions, right? Your thoughts on the Crisis Core remake? I never really cared that much about the original Crisis Core on the PSP. I played it a long time ago and I didn't like it, and then I streamed the game, I think it was last year, and I changed my mind. I was like, okay, this is a good game, but I'm just not a fan of the Final Fantasy VII lore. I was fine with the original game and the story. I never believed that was a game that needed to be expanded, that needed prequels and sequels and whatnot. So to me, Crisis Core, I know you guys are diehard fans of that game and it's amazing and whatever, but it just feels like Square Enix just milking Final Fantasy VII over and over and over and over again, right? So I'm not really interested in that game. I probably won't get it. I don't really care for it. Have you looked into the new Western indie RPG Jack Move? Never heard of it. Pathfinder, Wrath of the Righteous. I have never heard of that game. Ryza 3 thoughts, looks great. Same thoughts, it looks great. My only problem is that I don't have the second game. And it's kind of required to play. It's probably going to be required to play the third game because you got the same characters, It's like the Trails games, you gotta play them in order. So if I can't get my hands on the second game, which is still fucking expensive everywhere, I probably won't. I'll probably get a code maybe for Ryza 3, but I need to get the second one first. More of a Persona or mainline SMT guy? By far an SMT guy. I love Persona, and it's one of my favorite JRPG series, but I like Shin Megami Tensei way more. Like, way more. Let me put it this way, in my top 10 favorite JRPG series, I think Persona is number 10. Actually, and Shin Megami Tensei is like number 5, so it's getting higher than that, because the last games have been great. The Shin Megami Tensei 5, I freaking loved it. Soul Hackers, I loved it, and Soul Hackers 2, and then there was the Nocturne remaster, amazing remaster as well. I mean, those are the last 3 games that I played in the course of a year. Do you think that 2023 will be devoid of JRPGs? with them all coming out this year, or do you think that it will have a lot like this year? I think we're gonna have a lot of them next year. I mean, didn't you watch the Nintendo Direct? I mean, there's gonna be a lot of them released next year, like Fire Emblem, for example, the Suikoden remasters. They aren't remakes. Come on, people. Can't you tell the difference between a remake and a remaster? The Suikoden games are remasters. They are the same games. They just look better. Remake is another thing. Remake is Final Fantasy VII got remade. That's a remake when the game looks totally different with completely different graphics and style and shit. Remaster is just the same game looking a little bit improved with more quality, visual quality. That's it. Yeah, I think a lot of JRPGs are going to be released next year, so I think the next year is going to be just as good one. It's just JRPGs, I feel they've gotten a lot of attention in the past few years. What do you guys think about that? I think this is a genre, I don't know where you guys come from or how old are you, all of you, obviously I don't. But I started playing RPGs when I was 20 years old. I mean, I've known them since when I was younger, but I didn't really get into the genre, addicted to the genre until I was 20. And that was back in, that was 17 years ago. So back then, JRPGs were very niche. The majority of people didn't care about them, they just cared about the mainstream. Sure, you could talk to people about Final Fantasy VII. You could talk to people about maybe Xenogears. But you talk to someone about Suikoden, Girl Lancer, I don't know, Persona, Shin Megami Tensei, they didn't know what the hell you were talking about. People knew Dragon Quest and that's it. And I think it's a genre that's gotten a lot more popular over the past several years. I think I remember back in 2010, 12, 10 to 12, the beginning of the last decade, that's when I started seeing an increase of interest in JRPGs worldwide. Because that's also the time when social media got really, really strong and everybody and their mom got at least a Facebook account or a Twitter account or whatever, YouTube was already big, So 10 years ago, that's when the internet really, really, really exploded, and took over people's lives. And therefore, a lot of video game genres started getting more popular, more attention. You will more often see people talking about JRPGs, people talking about other genres that nobody else talked about before. When the world was just about platformers and first-person shooters, we saw a world slowly starting to open up to other genres like shoot 'em ups, like environmental puzzle games, like survival horror games, and eventually JRPGs became mainstream. And I'm pretty sure if, a video game company made a poll nowadays asking people what are the most popular video game genres, I'm pretty sure JRPGs will be one of them. I don't think it's the most popular, obviously not, pretty sure first-person shooters, will win the poll probably. But I'm pretty sure, if they were to make a top 5, for example, I think their JRPGs will be there, pretty sure. At least RPGs. Forget about the J. RPGs in general will be there. So I think that the genre itself has gotten a lot more attention than before. And that's a great thing. That's a great thing because, we're here because of JRPGs. We love the genre. So obviously we're happy to see that it's pretty much become mainstream of the past 10 years or so. Games that were previously hidden gems, Suikoden was a hidden gem. Persona was a hidden gem. Nobody knew about that. And nowadays, everybody knows them, right? So, sure, there's still a lot of hidden gems out there, obscure JRPGs that deserve more attention, but they're getting there. 10 years ago, I would have swore that nobody knew Radiant Historia, and nowadays it's a popular, not that popular, but popular game, slightly mainstream. So, I think we're going to be getting more and more and more JRPGs next year, and the next one, and the next one, and so on. And the genre will keep evolving and exploding, and that's a good thing. Star Ocean, the second story music right now. If your music is glitching, let me know. Let's turn this around. I haven't remade the best JRPG soundtracks of all time. That little video. I want to do it. Where's my phone? I think time is a big factor. Nowadays, people want longer games, and only JRPGs can deliver a good level of long gameplay. That is correct, People have become so obsessed with the video game length for some reason. I was fine when I was back 17 years ago when I first started playing RPGs. I was like, man, most of my RPGs, I'm finishing them in like 20 to 25 hours, and I was so satisfied with that, man. Because, I grew up with the NES. I grew up with the NES, the Game Boy, the Super Nintendo, the Genesis, and the majority of those games, were like 40 minutes long, 1 hour long, and that's it. So when I got into RPGs, I was like, man, this game took me 25 hours to complete, 30 hours, and I was happy, and nowadays they just go on and on and on and on and on. So that's why, and I used to, in some games I used to do that, I was like, man, I'm really enjoying this game, so I'm going to do all the side quests, I'm going to get everything, blah, 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 and I put a lot of hours into them. But eventually I got tired, and I got to a point where I was like, man, I just want to enjoy the game and move on to the next one, just like I was doing before. Contrary to the majority, I know I am in the minority here, but contrary to the majority of people and RPG fans out there, I don't really like RPGs being that long, I'm fine with 30 hours, 30, 35 hours, 40 max. When I do 40 hours in RPGs, I started getting burned out, man. I was like, man, even if I'm really enjoying it, this happened to me with Xenoblade Chronicles 3. I beat the game in like 50-something hours. And of course, I skipped a lot of the side quests. I got a lot of the heroes, which are entirely optional. The majority, if not all of them, are optional. But I recruited a lot of heroes, so I was like, man, at the end, I loved the game. But I got a little burned out. I was like, man, I need to play something, I don't know, simple. And so I jumped back to a little game called Okage Shadow King, which originally came out on the PS2 and then got, an upscaled port to the PlayStation 4, digital only. So I played it, and I beat it, and I think I did like 28 hours, and that's it, and I was happy. Yeah, man. I miss those RPGs, 20 to 30 hours, and that's it, man. Because RPGs, have given the player the option to increase the length by doing side quests. Side quests have been there for a long time. Go back and play Chrono Trigger, Final Fantasy VI, and if you do everything, you're gonna probably make 50 hours, 40 hours. But the main story was just like 20 hours, and that's it. I was fine with that. Maybe it's because I'm an adult, I don't know. Ah, man. They just want games to be longer to justify the inflation. RPGs brand new used to cost $20 back then, 20 years ago, and now they go for 60 or 80. So people feel that they need to make longer video games because they are now more expensive. I don't know. I think it's dumb. Whatever, I can pay $60 for a game, and if it's 25 hours, I don't give a shit. I got my money's worth. I'm more of a quality over quantity guy. I don't give a fuck about 50, 60 hours platinum everything, get the trophies, I don't give a rat's ass about that. I just want to have a good time, experience a story, experience a video game, and that's if it's 5 hours or 40 hours, whatever, I'm getting my money's worth. I don't give a fuck about, oh man, this game better be 200 hours or else, I'm gonna sue the company for selling me a game that's $60, $60 doesn't equal 5 hours, so fuck you. That's just fucking... I don't know, man. What game was so good you wished it was longer? Rise Eterna. The one I was just talking about an hour ago. The game I reviewed today. I wish it could have been longer. I beat the game in eight and a half hours. Come on, I'm a strategy RPG guy. You know, but I wouldn't want Rise Eterna to be 30 hours or more. 20 would have been fine. 15 hours would have been fine. But yeah, 8.5 hours. Man, no. I needed this game to be longer. Which Xenoblade you thought had the best party members? Best party members? I'm assuming you're asking about how good they are. The artificial intelligence is, right? I found them to be really responsive and helpful in this third entry. I mean, all the Xenoblade games have excellent party members, in my opinion, excellent AI. Party members are, always attacking, always doing something, they aren't fucking up. I mean, they do fuck up sometimes, but the majority of the time they aren't. So I think Xenoblade Chronicles 3 had the best party members because it just really, it made me feel like they were a team. Like in real life, like everybody was doing something relevant. Every time. Here's the difference, I'll prove it to you in this way. So in Xenoblade Chronicles 1 and 2, sometimes I will do a break attack, expecting my party member, or one of my party members to do topple next, and then daze, right? And sometimes it didn't happen. I was like, man, I broke the freaking game. Come on, topple it. Or sometimes, another character will... In Xenoblade Chronicles 2, for example, Nia was doing all the breaking, so she will break the enemy, and I will do topple, and that's it. Or she wouldn't do the break, even though the bar was there. Oh, you can break this enemy right now. And I was like, man, I don't have any break attacks right now with Rex equipped. So Nia, come on. And she was unresponsive in that. And in Xenoblade Chronicles 3, right from the beginning, you do a break, and immediately somebody else does a topple. And then immediately somebody else does daze or whatever, So I found the party in Xenoblade Chronicles 3 to be the best one, to be the most responsive of them all, the most helpful, the better AI in the series, but that's just how I see it, man. The one that I haven't played, I played it for like 30 minutes, was Xenoblade Chronicles X, because it's still exclusive on the Wii U, and I want a Wii U. I'm gonna buy a Wii U soon, but I'm still waiting for the price to drop a little bit, because right now it's like $200, $150, and it's worth it just to get Xenoblade Chronicles X and to hack it and play some GameCube games in there, some Wii games. That's what I want. That's why I want a Wii U right now. So maybe when that happens, when I get my hands on a Wii U, I'll play Xenoblade Chronicles X, and I'll be able to compare, X to the rest of the series, including party members, party AI. Yeah, in the third one, I think you had party members. Now, if we're talking about personality, and it's pretty much a solid competition between the first one and the third one, because the characters in Xenoblade Chronicles 2 were kind of dumb, kind of silly. I love them, but most of them were kind of like on the comedic side, Yeah. How can you take a guy like, what's the name of this guy, the prince, with the eye patch? That guy, how can you take a guy like that seriously? He's just a laughing stock, And so in terms of important characters, I think I like Zeke. Thanks. I think I like the ones in the first game a little bit more because they just felt more mature to me. In Xenoblade Chronicles 3, I love the cast, I love the party members, and I think as a cast, it's the best game. But It's mainly because of the development each and every one gets, but they're all a bunch of 17, 18-year-old kids, right? And the first Xenoblade, you got, these other characters who were more mature, more adult, and I could relate to them a little bit more. Top 10 most annoying characters in a game that you will made you hate the game? You already asked that question and I told you I made a video about the worst protagonists. You can find it on my channel. The only JRPG I ever tried on a phone is Fire Emblem Heroes, and I loved it for a while, but even though I loved it for several months, that's the game that made me hate microtransactions and free-to-play games, So, incredible, huh? Pretty ironic how a game that I really enjoyed made me hate its genre. I don't like mobile games. Three feels mature. Yeah, 3 feels mature. The plot, the story, and what the characters go through. But they're still your 17, 18-year-old characters. And in the first game, Xenoblade Chronicles, the first one, the character is a little bit more mature. That's it. I swear there's a rumor, Persona 3 remake in development. There's always a rumor, man. There are always rumors. Until they come true, right? Oh, by Xenogears, man. That's way more mature than Xenoblade 3. Way more. Xenogears was so mature that, I don't know. Shouldn't have gotten the T rating. I think in North America I got a T rating. Should have been mature. Is there any JRPGs where the main characters are adults? Yeah, there's not too many, but there's a lot. Final Fantasy VII, man. Yeah, with the exception of Yuffie. She's like a little 16-year-old brat, I think. The majority of the characters in Final Fantasy VII are adults. Tactics Ogre, I think, there's a lot of games that are, like, mature. We can't really focus a lot on medieval RPGs because sometimes the developers want to be realistic. And, well, you gotta remember that in the Middle Ages, a 17 or 18-year-old person was an adult. Because people died back then when they were 40 years old. At 40, they were old as fuck, man. The equivalent of 80 or 90 years old nowadays. So you could say a lot of medieval RPGs have mature characters, right? Adult characters. Because even though they're 17 or 16, that was the adult age back then. Strange Journey, exactly. That's an adult cast. Good answer. Lane of Dragoon, I'm not sure, man. I think half of the party members are your average 17, 18-year-old kids. How old is Dart, anyway? Do they ever, tell you the name? I mean, we've seen a lot of adult characters in video games. Tales of Exilia comes to mind. I mean, that's Rowan. Rowan in there, he's an old guy, and he's fucking badass. Dart is 21. Oh, well, 21. Well, okay. Lost Odyssey. Yeah. Hey, if the music is the music duplicating? Is it fine? Let me know. That's right, Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles. Turtles in Time. Awesome. Alright, there we go. Thanks, guys. Yeah, you have a 20-second delay. I say something and you get it 20 seconds later. So I have to wait. You know what game that is not a game has mature characters? My book, Terra Gaiden. The one right here. This book that I wrote and published over 8 years ago in English. It's available on Amazon, by the way, in case you're interested. Physical and digital. Yeah. And I never really talk about my books. I never really review them, I really do that. I just mention them in these Q&As a couple of times. Just what I think a lot of people probably wonder, just what the hell is Terra Gaiden? Like, what is this guy trying to sell me every goddamn Q&A? It's a book that I wrote 8 years ago, like I mentioned. And it's a book that was inspired by Suikoden, by Fire Emblem. It tells the story of there's a war going on. Because it's inspired by Suikoden and Terra and Fire Emblem, it needs to have like this empire that's trying to take over the other nations, right? Otherwise, that's not Suikoden, that's not Fire Emblem, so it's gotta be like that. So I got that plot. It's cliche, I know, but the characters are very interesting, and there's a lot of dark and mature stuff in there, and adult characters. Sure, there may be 1 or 2 characters that are like 16 or 17, but the majority of my characters are like on their late 20s or mid 20s. And the book, it has 4 protagonists. The main heroine is Lauren Silverrain. She leads a mercenary group that's pretty famous for, because this is a mercenary group that can take on the Empire, that has defeated Imperial soldiers before. So one day, this Empire, they invade the capital of Alestia. Okay, and that's where the second main character comes from, which is Thomas. He's the captain. So they decimate the army of Alestia, and this guy says, this is gone for too long. We need to stop these guys. They wanted to colonize the entire freaking continent, and we can't let that happen because, we need to be free. Every country needs to be free. So what happens is that he knows this priest. That's right, a priest. And that used to be a military strategist. So he recruits that guy, and he says, what can we do? I need to start a revolution. I need to fight the Empire. We need to come up together, all of these nations together, and fight these assholes. So this strategist recommends to recruit Lauren Silverrain, which is the leader of the mercenary group that I mentioned. So they go and recruit her, and then they form an army, and then they fight this Empire, and there's a lot of battles, like, as if you were playing a Fire Emblem game, and it's all, narrative, there's nothing technical in there. It's not like I'm saying, Lauren moved 3 grids to the left. I know some writers do that, but no, it's just a book. It's fiction, it's a normal book. But it's heavily inspired by that. I'd say it's more inspired by Fire Emblem than Suikoden, because in Suikoden you create this whole army and you recruit a lot of characters. And at the beginning I wanted to do something like that, to recruit a lot of characters, that had personalities and stories and whatnot. But I was like, man, so it's gonna be like this big of a book, man. It's gonna be like a $500 book and no one's gonna buy it. So let's just say that Terra Gaiden, my book, is a little bit more influenced on the Fire Emblem side. By Fire Emblem, right? So that's it. I think it's a great book. My English wasn't that good back then. I don't think it still is. I mean, I'm still improving. I'll probably never stop improving. But back then, 8 years ago, it was the very first book I wrote in English. So it's kind of weird. Some sentences don't make a lot of sense. I mean, everything makes sense, I'd like to believe. But the words I use to express certain things or certain actions are like kind of like, I mean, it's just weird. But you gotta remember, I'm Mexican, right? English is not my main language. So if you can forget that, if you can forgive that, I think you can enjoy this book if you like Fire Emblem or Suikoden. It has a lot of dark stuff. One of the main characters is a necromancer, and she's kind of like schizophrenic. She's kind of nuts, and there's a lot of dark stuff in there. Because a lot of Fire Emblem games or Suikoden games, there's some dark dramas here and there, but not much, right? And here, man, you know me, I'm into dark stuff and mature stuff. So that's the way I wrote my book. There's a lot of stuff like that. And there's some violence. I don't recommend this book for kids. I've met some fans that bought this book for their 10-year-old kids, and I'm like, well, it's a book. There's nothing visual in there. It's just your imagination. But there's some violence in there, some strong violence in there in that book. So yeah, it's a mature book. Not really adults only. Maybe a 14, 15-year-old kid can read it, no problem. But I recommend this book because I wrote it myself. And you will find the link to it in the description below, to Amazon. Physical and digital. If you're a collector, you'd want a physical, right? There you go. Terra Gaiden. Link in the description. There we go. Symbolism in the book. Symbolism as in what? What are you talking about? There's some occultism in there because of this necromancer. And because of the one of the main antagonists. So yeah, there's some dark stuff in there, some dark spiritual stuff in there. Yeah, you like hexes and shit, yeah. This character uses a sword slash and it was effective. Imagine, Lauren couldn't hit the enemy because the RNG is fucked up in this map. Imagine writing a book like that, saying those things, man. No, that's more of a script than anything. The book will be a script, because that's how sometimes scripts are done. Scripts don't say anything, like the RNG is fucked, sure, but you've probably seen a lot of scripted battles in JRPGs, and they're called scripted for a reason, because somebody wrote that. Beatrix in Final Fantasy IX, Beatrix after 5 turns performs this special attack that reduces the whole party's HP to 0 or to 1 point, and then the battle ends. That's scripted. Somebody actually wrote that, but a book saying that stuff, nah. Another game with mature characters, Persona 2. Yeah, there we go. Why not try reading the first chapter of your book sometime to see if people will like it? I don't think I'm really good in reading my own stuff. I'd probably get very embarrassed. I don't know. Reading my own book in public. I know a lot of writers do that, but I just feel, I don't know, man. I feel weird. Besides, if you go to Amazon, you can read it yourself. The first 10 pages of the book, I think, are free to read. You do get a preview. You can read it. There's a lot of descriptions in there. I think I got overly descriptive. I like Princess Roseanne. She's wearing this, and almost the entire page. Have you read the Lord of the Rings? It's not like I had any influence from the Lord of the Rings for this book. Nothing to do. Don't worry. But when I read the Lord of the Rings books, a few years after I published Terra Gaiden, I noticed that, the guy was also, Tolkien was also overly describing his characters, and I was like, man, no. Man, I should have left more things to the imagination of the reader, because I overly describe my characters in Terra Gaiden. Lulu is 21, and she's a MILF? Oh, well, Japan. Everybody over 20 years old is old as fuck. You know Japan, right? Anyway, somebody was asking about Bobsy 3D is the best PS1 JRPG. Any platformers you like any at all. Yeah, I love platformers. I grew up with platformers. Of course, I love them. Some of my favorites are actually kind of cliche. I'm a Mario fan, so my favorite platformer of all time is Super Mario World. and I think it's the best video game ever made. It's not my favorite video game, and it's not the best video game for me. That would be Chrono Cross, but I think Super Mario World is like the epitome of gaming, and it was back then. So what other platformers? I could name a few 3D. I'm more of a 2D platformer guy, but I could name a few 3D like Alice Madness Returns. It's also considered like a hack and slash game, but it's more of a platformer game, But yeah, Super Mario World is one of my favorites. I'm more of a beat 'em up fan, to be honest with you. And there are the Valkyrie games, Valkyrie Profile, man. There just Exist Archive. There's a lot of platforming in there. There's a lot of platforming in an environmental puzzle that I love called Little Nightmares. The second one was also... Most environmental puzzle games in 2D are platformers themselves, right? Kirby. I'm a Kirby fan, My favorite is the remake of Dreamland on the Game Boy Advance. That's a phenomenal game, Kirby has a lot of really solid, games. What JRPG female character are you crushing on? I'm crushing on... My latest waifu is Kirika. Kirika from Shining Resonance Refrain. Have you tried Stray? Oh, the cat game? No, I've seen some memes about it, but I haven't played it. Yeah, platformers. I love platformers. It's not one of my 5, if you can say 5, favorite video game genres. That would be fighting games, environmental puzzle games, which are usually also platformers. Beat 'em ups, I love beat 'em ups. And some horror games. I haven't played the AI, the Somnium Files, or At In Time. Nope. That's a cool question. I work as a 3D modeler, and I was thinking of making Opasa Beach from Chrono Cross, as a practice project, maybe for VR. Maybe you just walk around in third person. What other CC location will you pick? How about you pick the Vortex Dimension? When you change bodies. You know what I'm talking about, right? That area where you go to with the new body. That on VR will be phenomenal. That's my pick. Speaking of best beat 'em ups, you played Streets of Rage. I'm a die-hard Streets of Rage fan. I love the first 2 games. The third one was good too. 4 was excellent. Yeah. Streets of Rage is probably one of my... I think Streets of Rage is probably my second favorite beat 'em up series of all time. The first one will be the Turtles. Teenage Mutant Ninja Turtles games. Yeah. And before you ask about the Cowabunga collection, yes, I'll get it at some point. Did you play The Witness or Baba Is You? Nope. Never heard of it. Best JRPG couple? Well, Squall and Rinoa. Just kidding. I don't know. Surge and Kid from Chrono Cross. I mean, how can you beat that? Or Faye and Ellie from Xenogears. How can you beat that? Which female Fire Emblem character do you think is better from a writing point of view? Oh well, let me think. Edelgard is a very well written character. I mean, look at what the writers accomplished with that character. Half of the world, half of the people who played Three Houses loved Edelgard, and the other half hated her. When you create a character like that, that's when you've created an amazing character. That's my answer for you. I know it's an unexpected answer, but that's my answer. There's a lot of characters like that. There's Jill from Fire Emblem Path of Radiance. She gets some interesting development. She overcomes her racism. Through both games, Path of Radiance and Radiant Dawn. Yeah, there's a lot of great reading characters in Fire Emblem, but they are a rare sight because usually Fire Emblem doesn't focus on its supporting cast. They just focus on a bunch of protagonists, and that's it. Especially the old Fire Emblem games. The majority of the dialogue is always between the 5 main characters, 3, 4, 5, maybe 6, and that's it. So yeah. Was Zidane on your first playthrough? Yeah. In my entire playthrough, he was there. I mean, he's the main character, and I think it's a dumb idea to remove him from the party because there's 2 parts in the game, I remember, where you need to... I mean, he's on his own, I think. And then there's that boss battle, where you only fight with Zidane and Kina, so yeah. I don't think it's a good idea to remove Zidane from the party. He's not one of the best characters in the game, I know that, but he's pretty balanced overall. Rina and Cloud? Who's Rina? Or who are you talking about? I know Tifa and Cloud, or Aerith. Aerith and Cloud. How come you don't care about Valkyrie Elysium? Because I'm a big fan of Valkyrie Profile, and like all Valkyrie Profile fans, we have been waiting forever for a new Valkyrie Profile game developed by Tri-Ace. And all of a sudden Square Enix comes along and says, oh, guess what? This is yet another series we're going to turn into an action RPG not developed by Tri-Ace. So I don't want to support this project. Rina and Cloud from Star Ocean, the second story. Gotcha. Yeah. It's an interesting couple, but not really. Lenneth and Lucian. Yeah, if you follow a guide and get the true ending of Valkyrie Profile, then yes. In the Spanish translation, they renamed Zidane to Gitan. That's right, because they didn't want him to have the same name as the football player. Yep, pretty much. Tri-Ace is working on... Well, they already worked on Star Ocean 6. Maybe right now they're fixing some of the complaints the demo received. I mean, maybe. We don't know yet, but maybe. So yeah, my Valkyrie Elysium thing is more of a whim. It's... I'm being capricious here. Like a little kid, not gonna play it. Yep. That's right, I just don't want to support a company that's turning every turn-based franchise into action. If they change Dragon Quest to action, that'll be the end for me. Rin and Sarah. Rin and his super hot sexualized teacher. Yeah. Well, it's much better than Rin and Alisa. A lot of people don't like Alisa. She's fine. I didn't hate Alisa. She wasn't my best pick, but I'm more of a Rin and Laura. That's a badass couple, man. Rin, Schwarzer, and Laura from Cold Steel, man. How about Estelle and Joshua? Even though Joshua is a fucking prick most of the game, I hate what Joshua puts, what he puts Estelle through, in the game. I hated Joshua because of that. You don't hurt my Estelle, you asshole. Estelle and Joshua, but anyway. How about Lloyd and Ellie? Nah, it's kind of... I thought their relationship was kind of like cliche. Like they like each other and they don't have the balls to admit it, and just dumb, man. Lloyd and Ellie. Rin and Towa. Yeah, in the interview that I did with Kifumi Kaneko, he made some statements. He probably focused his answer on, on Square Enix. There's a lot of great JRPGs out there. He probably doesn't know them. Shion and Alphen. I mean, Shion is kind of like a tsundere, right? I mean, she's always edgy and pissed off, and nah, it's a good couple. I mean, it's better than Lloyd and Ellie, but yeah, nah. Who is the most well-written character, female character in Cold Steel? Well, Laura gets a lot of development, which is one of the reasons why I loved her. I mean, especially in the first two games. What else? Female characters only, right? Yeah, I'm gonna pick Laura. She was by far the most interesting of them all. Like I said, especially in the first two games. They screwed Laura in the fourth one? Why? They don't really get a lot of... I mean, the original Cold Steel cast shines in the first two games. But in the other games, part 3 and 4, the focus is on the other ones, on Juna, and these other guy... The new students, that's the focus shifts on them. I mean, if you're gonna judge the characters in Cold Steel 1 and 2, you gotta judge them in Cold Steel 1 and 2. They get their highlights in there. It's like saying, oh man, they ruined Estelle in Cold Steel 4. Man, she's just a guest character in there. She's fan service in there. You gotta appreciate Estelle, Blade Trails in the Sky 1, 2, and 3. The assassin girl with Fie. She's a very well-written character too, but she's a little bit on the cliche side, The quiet girl, lowly with a tragic past. I don't know, I didn't get too fond of Fie. But she's fine, I like it. She grew on me. In the first game, I was like, man, I hate this bitch. And then she grew on me. I like Fie. But I like Laura and Sarah far more. I wish Sarah could have gotten a little bit more development. She seemed like a really interesting character, And she gets some development in there, but not really. Van and Penelo. Oh, yeah, we got a winner here, guys. That's the best couple, the best written characters ever in a JRPG. Van and Penelo from Final Fantasy XII. Yeah, no. Adol and Dana. They don't really... I mean, Adol doesn't have any canon waifu. Yeah, I mean, Dana is perhaps the best written character in the game. Everyone will love Ren in Kuro. I like Ren. She's a freaking brat in the first games, Welkin and Alicia. That's a true couple. A mature, no bullshit couple. I like that couple. Good answer. Welkin and Alicia. That is a totally no bullshit couple, Not they don't get nervous around each other, they don't go through this. I mean, there's some stupidity in there too, but it's really small, They get straight to the point. I like you, you like me, let's do it, Yeah. Shion and Alan in Xenosaga? No, man, Alan, poor guy. He's so in love with Shion and she never pays attention to him. Nah. Waka and Lulu. Come on. They're like total opposites. Sarah and Snow, who are they? I don't even know them. Aren't those from Final Fantasy 13? I don't care for that game. Hiro and Lucia from Lunar 2. I never beat that game, so I can't comment on that. Emily and Marta from Emil. No, it's not Emily. Emil and Marta. Oh yeah, Emil. Yeah. That's a good couple, I know you're making it as a joke because you probably hate the game, but for your information, I loved Dawn of the New World, and I think it's a solid couple. Not the best, but it's okay. Justin and Fina. I always found that couple weird because Fina is older than Justin and she feels more mature, and Justin is like a little brat, I know they are... I was looking forward more for a Justin and Sue romance, because it just made more sense, I'm not really a fan of Justin and Fina, I like the characters separately, but not as a couple. It just feels kind of weird. Chrono and Luca, but Chrono ends up with Marley, right? What are your top 3 fiction novels of all time? Wow. My favorite book of all time is still fiction. It's called The Winter of the Fisher by Cameron Langford. That's my favorite book of all time. It's an unusual pick because it's not really a fantasy novel. And on the second place, I will probably choose Lestat, the Vampire by Anne Rice. What an amazing book, man. Wow, the development, what the character goes through, Lestat. Oh, fuck, man, you gotta read that book. It's pretty much the prequel to Interview with the Vampire. And my third book... it's so hard, man. I don't think I have one. I may choose Interview with the Vampire. Or, can I pick my own books? I don't know, I mean, that's a really tough question. Asbel and Chiria in Tales of Graces F? Yeah. Nah. It's okay. Cecile and Rosa. On Final Fantasy IV, I never beat that game, so I can't comment. Stan and Ruti. I never beat that game either, but yeah, that's a fun couple because Stan is an idiot and Ruti is like, the edgy character. She's always getting pissed off and shit. Yeah, that's a fun couple. Rio and Nina, come on, Rio is a silent protagonist. Yeah, I guess maybe. Well, it's always Rio and Nina in every iteration, so. Favorite anime series of all time? Ergo Proxy is my favorite by far. I also really like Berserk, the anime. Claymore is my second favorite of all time, Claymore. I believe it or not, I love Rose and Maiden. I know, it's fucking weird, but I love Rose and Maiden. I also like a lot Babylon. Babylon was mind-blowing, man. Amazing anime. There's Ajin. I'm still waiting for a third season. God damn it, Netflix, what's going on? Ajin was an amazing anime. And yeah, those are among my favorites. Shulk and Fiora. Well, yeah. I mean, yeah. I dig that couple. Shulk and Melia. She's too old for him. Hey, you're right. Are you by any chance going to buy Tactics Ogre Reborn? No, I don't think so. Because that's a Square Enix game. I don't buy Square Enix game on games until they're dirt cheap. And I never get review copies, so... Velvet and Eisen. The Velvet doesn't really have a couple. That game doesn't have a romance. But yeah, Velvet and Eisen will make for a great couple, yeah. Those are my two favorite characters in the entire Tales series. Velvet was just into her little brother. She didn't care about romance, love, and anything. Colette and Lloyd? It's a fun couple. That's a fun couple, I'm not the biggest Symphonia fan, but yeah. That's a fun couple. I mean, Lloyd's an idiot, Colette's an idiot. Yeah. Why video games have to be cutscenes after reading after reading? A lot of games, I discussed that topic a long time ago. Yeah, a lot of games are like that. I think, I don't know. Good question. I don't know why storytelling in video games shifted like that. Probably because, I don't know, maybe people pay more attention to the story nowadays. I don't know. That's a good question. Tyr and Luke. I don't like Luke. I never did. He gets some cool development, but still I never liked Luke. I don't think that's a good couple for me, in my opinion. Maximilian and Salvaria, there's no romance in there. Come on. I think you're ready to make your own AAA fourth ARPG, you should need some $1 million from some publisher. Let me guess, Square Enix, because they love me, or Atlus, they fucking love me, right? You know, if I had my own project, and I was going to look for a publisher, I will probably approach Spike Chunsoft. That's an odd choice, I know, but let me explain why. It's because I'm so goddamn weird. Because my story, my RPG will be dark as fuck. Weird and bizarre as fuck. That only a company like Spike Chunsoft will dare publish it. Maybe Atlus, but they don't like me that much. I will try Spike Chunsoft first, you know. I really like the demo in Diofield Chronicle, and that's the only thing that I played about the game, and I loved it. I think it's a great game. It looks like Lancarse got it right this time, because their last game was Monarch, and that was a total fuck up. Broken game. I still loved it. Monarch, fuck man. Monarch is like, I have a love-hate relationship with that game, man. But yeah, it's broken, I never finished it, and I probably never will. So the Diofield Chronicle was, you know, to make up for that, you know. I wish they could have gotten, I wish Lancarse could have stayed with Atlus, or with NIS, Nippon Ichi Software. I don't know why they went over to Square Enix, probably because that's the biggest publisher. I mean, I understand, you know, as a company, how can you say no to Square Enix? That's the biggest name out there. So they will probably sell way more copies with Square Enix than with Atlus, or I get that, but man. Oh, I gave up on Monarch, you know. I gave up some time ago, and I'm never touching that game. I deleted the game. I don't have it physical, I have a digital copy, and I deleted the copy. I mean, I can still download it, as long as it's still on the PlayStation Store, right? I already installed the game already. So trust me, I gave up. Look on the bright side, they didn't go to EA. EA doesn't publish JRPGs. But yeah, they didn't go to Konami. Can't believe you guys are still there on your waifu wars. Senel and Norma? No way. Senel was Chloe and that's it. The canon is the girl Shirley. Haseo and Natalie, totally, yeah. That's a good one. Any JRPGs where you don't need to grind? Yeah, the majority of them you can just play them on easy if you don't want to grind. There aren't too many of them. Some of the Tales games I never felt the need to grind. Some, not all of them. Some of the Ys games, you know, Ys 9, Ys 8, maybe you can just fight your way through and that's it. You don't need to grind. That's a good question, you know, for a video, maybe. A video, you know, JRPGs where with no grinding required, maybe. Speedrunners rarely grind. Oh, but the speedrunners are like really good players, right? Unless they're playing on easy mode. How can you speedrun an RPG? The majority of them, I mean, no. How can you just go straight to the boss and ignore the fights? I mean, you gotta level up at least a little bit, you know. Which of your books would you like to see adapted to a JRPG? This one. This is heavily inspired by Fire Emblem, so Terra Gaiden, that's the book I want to see turn into an RPG the most. That one. Or The Revenant Army, but The Revenant Army is in Spanish, currently being translated to English. It will be released by the end of the year. Well, my guys, you know, I have to go. It was a great time spending with you. A great time spent with you. And I hope to see you guys in the next, in 15 days. Remember, I do these Q&A streams bi-weekly. Bi-weekly, that's the correct term, you know, every 2 Sundays, 1 Sunday. Q&A, the next Sunday no, the next one yes, and so on, Every 2 weeks, the Q&A, Sunday, 12 p.m. Central Time. And hope to see you guys in the next one. Take care. Had a great time. Thanks for watching.